happy Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It is Tuesday, November 22nd, the 326th day of the year. There are 39 days left in 2022, believe it or not. Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. Thanksgiving. Wow. Came fast this year. Maybe since the pandemic slowed everything down the last couple of years, it just seems like this year has gone by faster, but it is a different Thanksgiving feel. Maybe we're more grateful. I certainly am. I am grateful and thankful for my family, Joyce, Dixon, Sissy, the Grands, the team here at Best Girl, Joyce, Emily, Sean, Barbara, Michael. They make work a pleasure, and I thank them all for their contributions. And I forgot to mention the Grands' name, Jenna and Corey, Channing, Parker, Lexi, and Colin. Our G-List guest today is Coach Greg Williams, the national champion equestrian coach at Auburn University. I look forward to learning about that sport. So this edition of Tuesdays with Thom, of course, is sponsored by our partners, the Best Girl consulting firm. Best Girl has been providing customized solutions to executive issues for 34 years. Let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Creates the solution that fits your needs. So let's get to our roundtable regulars and introduce Barbara Wallace-Edwards and Michael Walker. Barbara Wallace-Edwards is a Mobile, Alabama native currently living in Birmingham. Michael Walker is a Auburn native currently living in Atlanta area. So Barbara, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Thom. I'm doing well. Thank you. And how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. So you got the turkey going?
Well, I don't have to cook the turkey, Thom. I'll be with family. And so I'll probably take something for the meal, but I won't have to prepare an entire meal this year.
And what is your contribution?
Normally, I make a dessert, my famous bread pudding. And I think this year I'm going to actually also make a collard green casserole.
Oh,
yes.
What kind?
Collard green casserole.
I never heard of that.
I have to make one day for you and Joyce.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm gonna take your word for it. Really I actually was at the Publix yesterday, and I bought some cakes, little cake slices. So that's my contribution.
Oh, good.
So what's happening with you?
Well, Thom, I am recovering from a full weekend of activities. Me and my line sisters of Delta Sigma Theta sorority celebrated our 45th line anniversary. Lula Carr Gibson from Atlanta, Georgia, and Gwendolyn Richardson from Monroeville, Alabama, came, and we were all here at the beach and had a marvelous, marvelous time celebrating. And I want to thank our photographers for the weekend, Sandra Richardson, who came all the way from the Washington, D.C. area, and Mr. Abraham Booker from Pensacola, who served as our professional photographers for the weekend. And again, we just had a phenomenal time celebrating.
Now, Barbara, you're doing a show sometime here in the next 2 or 3 weeks on Title IX.
Title IX, yes.
And I think it's going to be a show that features all women.
Yes.
And you guys will talk about Title IX. You want to talk a little bit about it?
I will. That show, special show, will air on December 6th at 8 a.m., our normal Tuesday with Thom show. And it will be all women. I'm being joined by your beautiful wife, Joyce Gilly-Gossam, as my co-host for the day. And our special guest will be our own Emily Hedrick, who played football in high school. She actually played with the men's team in high school. So Emily,
Said she played nose tackle. I don't believe it, but that's what
she's a tiny little nose tackle. So, but she's tough. I believe that. And we will also have with us Dr. Eleanor Pitts from Birmingham, who served as the athletic director at Lawson State Community College and also coached volleyball at Lawson State and at Winona High School in Birmingham. And the first female to receive a scholarship at Auburn University in basketball, Marianne Merritt, will also be joining us. So it's going to be a great show.
Well, that sounds very interesting. You kicked me and Michael out, so you're going to have
you bowed out gracefully. We didn't kick you out.
Well, good deal. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's great. And
Yes.
Miss Merritt, I think, was at the foundation, the Owens Foundation.
Now, that was Wendell Merritt.
Okay.
She was the first Black female scholarship recipient for basketball at Auburn. But Marianne was the first female scholarship recipient at Auburn.
Okay. And where's Marianne from?
They're actually both from a small town there in Georgia. They're from the same hometown, believe it or not. Not related, they say, but they are from the same hometown.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
I've got to take a quick break here and congratulate Antley. South Carolina won a game the other day.
Yes.
And so congratulations, Antley. Your team's looking pretty good over there.
That was a huge win for South Carolina over Tennessee.
Okay. So before we go to Michael, I know you've been a big fan of Coach Lack, they call it.
Yes, I have. I am a big fan.
You want to talk about Coach Lack and the effort he's getting out of those players?
I am so proud of Coach Carnell Cadillac Williams and the job he's doing with the Auburn team right now. And he and his entire staff, again, I just think he put people in the right place as assistant coaches and position coaches. And they're getting a totally different effort out of the same players that's been on the team all along. I said to you all before the show started this morning, I'm so glad to see that we finally have a second half team, to see that we were tied with Western Kentucky at 17-17 at the half on Saturday, and then to come back and they didn't score any points at all second half, and Auburn won the game 41-17. So that's huge. And we haven't seen that all year long up until the last 3 games or so. So I am super supportive of Cadillac and the job he's done. And I think he's going to make an excellent head coach someday.
Okay.
Hopefully soon.
All right. Well, let's get Michael Walker on here and see what he's got to say about it. Good morning, Michael Walker.
Good morning, TG. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning, sir.
Both are doing well today.
Yes.
How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. Getting ready for a holiday.
And your thoughts on Coach Lack?
Well, I have to echo the same sentiments as my co-host and colleague, Barbara. I am very supportive of him. I'm very happy that he's been able to work as well as he has with the staff and with the players and what have you. And, you know, it's so funny, in the beginning of the year, we had such a void in talent. Well, it doesn't look that way as much now that we have such a void in talent. We don't have the depth that we should have, but he is getting every ounce out of those players. You know, when you're playing, your coach say, I want you to give 110%, they're giving 110% now.
Right.
For sure. So they're playing inspirational football.
Absolutely. I heard an interview with one of the players, and they were asking him, you know, what's the difference between playing for Coach Cadillac and playing for Coach Harsin? And this particular player said, he said, I run through a brick wall for Coach Cadillac. He said, if that's what he's looking for, he said, I'm willing to do it. He said, I think every player on this team is willing to do the same. And, you know, one other thing, you know, Coach Cadillac, even though there's interim title in front of that head coach's name, he's actually making history. He's the first Black head coach to play in the Iron Bowl.
You mean the coach?
In his history. The coach, I'm sorry. coach in the Iron Bowl. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, great. I mean, they're definitely there's more effort and energy going into it, and it's interesting to watch. It's interesting to speculate as to why one coach can get more effort than another. But there's no doubt that there's more effort.
Yes.
And I think more of what Auburn people are used to.
Right.
I just want to make a little correction here, Barbara. Emily Hedrick says that she didn't play in high school. She played peewee football.
Okay. Okay.
And
great.
she played guard.
Thank you, Emily.
So maybe
it's impressive either way to know that she played with the guys.
Ask her about it when she's on your show.
I will definitely ask her about that.
Okay, so let's before we move on, Michael. So what's happening with you, man?
Well, there's a lot of things going on, and this time of year, Thom, is when people are choosing their health care plans and Medicare plans and looking at Social Security and retirement savings. There's a thing that's going on. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but there was Bernie Madoff. Well, now there's Sam Bankman-Fried, the 30-year-old ex-CEO and founder of FTX Exchange. You may have seen Miami. FTX is the name sponsor on the Miami Arena, and that was cryptocurrency. He has filed for bankruptcy and is on the run. And there is about $11 billion missing from investors.
No, wow.
He has pulled in the likes of Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, Naomi Osaka, Shaq. They all were investors in his crypto exchange. He was operating out of the Bahamas. They filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and this person that's the trustee says the strangest bankruptcy filing he has ever seen. They don't know who the biggest creditor is. It's about 50 of them. But they also had a hedge fund that was one of the largest hedge funds around with $13 billion in it. And the hedge fund was loaning money out to the employees, buying real estate, all of this type of stuff without really tracking it. They were buying personal homes and what have you. One of the other strange things is that when they did disbursements, they approved them with emojis, personal emojis.
Wow.
It's how they were making fund disbursements to the CEO and what have you. And this is even stranger. When you have a company and you have your books, your financial records and stuff, and you get an opinion from your CPA. Well, the audit opinion came from the metaverse. I hear crickets over there.
Yeah. We don't know what to say to that.
You see frowns. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. This guy said it's the first time he has ever seen a CPA firm to officially open its metaverse headquarters. And this metaverse CPA firm was the one that was offering financial opinions on FTX.
Wow.
His ex-girlfriend ran the hedge fund. She was 28 years old, a self-enthusiast of Harry Potter. She wore the Harry Potter glasses, and she did amphetamines. They all lived on a big compound. They were all dating each other and running a business and what have you, and it's a mess. So this may be the beginning of the collapse of the cryptocurrency industry. Bitcoin, they all lost money as people ran to take their money out.
That's scary.
Shaq and Steph and all them were involved in it.
Yeah, Naomi, they are facing lawsuits right now.
Oh.
Because they have been pushing, FTX and cryptocurrency. I remember seeing a commercial where Stephen Curry was dealing with, cryptocurrency, and Shaq was saying, Steph, can you teach me how to do this? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, can you teach me how to shoot free throws? No. Well, teach me about cryptocurrency. So they were all involved in this, and now it's collapsing. You know, because I'm in financial services, I've always kind of followed this, but I could never, and I guess I'm very analytical and stuff. I could never really put together an analysis where it made sense to invest in it and how the money will come back. It looks more like FTX was being run as a Ponzi scheme, just like Bernie Madoff. And he is hiding out in the Bahamas now and responding over Twitter and what have you. But there could be a sale waiting on Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried.
It's interesting. Now, is Mr. Sam a white man?
He is.
I don't see how he can hide too far in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I don't think he's hiding.
That's what I thought when you said it. It's like, okay, is this a white man
he's
or
going to
a black
stand
man?
out pretty much.
Man, maybe he could hide a little more. So.
Well, you know, they say that because it was incorporated in Delaware, it was a Delaware corporation. Headquarters are in Bahamas. And some of the money, as it was collapsing, he transferred to the Bahamian government and what have you, about $500 and something million. He took about 1.3 billion. So the reporter is saying he is hiding out in the Bahamas. So, but he does have an afro, and he's 30 years old, and he doesn't dress.
And he's out. How old, Michael?
30. He was born March the 6th, 1992.
Wow. Okay.
And his girlfriend was 28 years old, running a $13 billion hedge fund, which was a sister company, popping amphetamines.
That's all really scary.
Yeah. So, Michael, you've been our political guy all along, and you correctly predicted that Warnock and Herschel Walker would go to a runoff. So what's your next prediction regarding those two gentlemen?
Well, it's very difficult to tell right now. It's a situation of getting out the vote, you know, for both sides. Historically, runoffs have favored Republicans, and they have always turned out. They're certainly rallying behind Herschel Walker, and at this point, where many people are saying they do not understand how Herschel can get to where he is in this situation. Well, from the Republican side of it, they just wanted to be able to have control of the Senate. And they need Herschel to win, so it'll at least be 50-50, even though the vice president will have the deciding vote and break the tie, they will have more clout. That's where it is with them. They don't necessarily care about how competent any of us think Herschel is. They just feel like he will be a vote that they can count on right now. Warnock, I would say probably, well, he was in the lead. I would not be surprised if Warnock wins at all. I think it's probably going to go that way. The reason why I say that is also the other thing that threw it into a runoff was that there was a libertarian in it. And now the libertarian votes in past have always gone to the Republican side. I would not be surprised if they do not go to the Democratic side in this one. One thing for sure is the people here in Georgia, they are asking the former president to stay away and do not campaign with Herschel because it's been like an albatross when it comes to very important or high-profile races that the former president has loaned his support to. Those candidates have lost. However, they do want Governor Kemp to campaign with Herschel, and he is now doing so because he's the governor and are sitting and just won re-election. But I will tell you that prior to the election, Kemp campaigned without Herschel, and certainly he stayed away from Trump, which was a successful formula for him. But now he's being called on to deliver Herschel.
Okay, well, we'll see. What's the date?
December the 6th.
Okay.
There was a lawsuit because there is a law that prohibits voting the Saturday after election, and the Warnock campaign filed a lawsuit saying we should be able to have open voting this Saturday because this is a special circumstance, and that has been allowed. So early voting, to my last update, will begin on Saturday after Thanksgiving and rolled in for another week, and the election day is the 6th of December.
Georgia's in the spotlight again. It's amazing how Georgia has gotten the spotlight in the presidential election and in this election.
Yes.
Whereas I don't remember in the past there was that big focus on Georgia, but it's all come down to now you just got about 7, 8, 9 states that determine the presidential election.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the electors that you have with each state. You know, the larger your population and more electors you have. And with Georgia has been what they call a Republican-leaning state for so long, and especially when it comes to national races. And then with the advent and the ascension of Stacey Abrams, it became what they call a up for grab state. Instead of being red or blue, it's purple. You know, is what they refer to it as. So that's the other thing that causes a lot of attention. I will like to note that the former president did announce that he's running for 2024. And that's to much chagrin from the Republican side because they would rather he not run. But, you know, Trump is running because of his own personal reasons, which I believe is he feels if he were to be able to get the Republican nomination, that will put on hold some of these political issues he has.
Might keep him out of jail.
Yeah.
Political as well as legal issues he's facing.
Well, he says it's all political, you know. So
okay.
Whatever Trump says is true.
It's interesting how they've turned on him.
Yeah.
But the things he does now, he's been doing, but they were all at the trough, so they went along with it.
Yeah.
Barbara, you got anything else for us this morning?
No, Tom, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of our viewers who are watching and listening with us this morning. And happy Thanksgiving to you all as well.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Barbara, I got to tell you, I think you need to go talk to former Coach Tuberville. He's the only senator that has come out and said he's going to support former President Donald Trump's presidential bid. No other senators have even mentioned it. But Tuberville says he's in his corner.
That sounds about right. That's probably got him elected. So
that's what I was
he's going to stick with that.
That's probably what put him there. So, and, you know, in politics, you got to return the favors. So,
yes.
Anything else from either one of you guys?
No, as I say, politics makes strange bedfellows.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, well, we're going to move on. Sean's got a minute for us. So, Sean, why don't you come on and give us a minute and let's see what you got for us this morning.
Good morning. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. Hello to everyone joining in with us this morning. It's Thanksgiving this Thursday, a time where I have to harass my family to make sure they're making me dinner, because if they don't, I'm not coming over. It is also a time where we reflect on blessings while acknowledging and showing gratitude. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Now, before I skidoo and give you back to the TWT crew, did you know that on this day in 1986, 20-year-old Mike Tyson knocks out 33-year-old Trevor Berbick in just 5 minutes and 35 seconds to become not only the youngest title holder ever, but also to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. When he walked into the ring to face Berbick, he had won all 27 of the matches he'd fought, knocking out 26 of his opponents. What a way to deliver those pineapples. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute.
Mike Tyson said everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. There's a great documentary called Tyson. It's really, really good. And Customato rescued Mike from the, what do you call it, the juvenile home he was in, the juvenile place where he was. When he went, it was so funny. Tyson says when he got put in the juvenile prison, for lack of a better term, he knew everybody there. And he said, well, it was just like going home. It's all my friends. He said, well, this is where they been. I didn't know where they were. So at some point, Cuss decides that Mike's the guy. And so he takes Mike to his home. Nice home, sitting on a hill, big house, what have you. And the guy says, well, what did you think when Cuss took you home with him? And he had that old squeaky voice. He said, I thought I could rob these white people. No, Mike, that's wrong thought. Anyway, I think Barbara may be having some issues there. So let's move on to the G list. Hollywood has the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list. Now, G list guest today is Coach Greg Williams, the six-time national champion equestrian winner from Auburn University. He started the program in 1996. He saw it elevated to a varsity sport in 2002. It is now among the top programs in the NCEA. And what I like about Coach, it reminds me so much of Auburn sports. He says that Auburn he talks to his young ladies, his players. He says that he wants them to have old school grit, hard work, and accountability. Let's bring on Coach. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's great. It's great to be with you. Talk to me about old school grit, hard work, and accountability.
Well, I think a lot of it starts that I'm old now, and it's hard to believe that you get that way. When I started this team, I was young, but it's just something I liked, and I mean, you made my day. When we were just talking earlier, you said to remind you of Suge Jerd. I mean, you can't say something better than that to an Auburn kid. I did most of my growing up in Auburn. I very much believe in hard work and accountability, and it's worked for us. There's a lot of stuff that we still do with our team that is baffling to some, and it drives some recruits away, actually. But I mean, we still do the work that we used to have to do, because we didn't have any support when we were starting this. We still do it now just because it keeps them with a vested interest. I mean, most anything built out of wood out there, we still do. I mean, they paint everything they do. And it's our new sport administrator, Janan Paul, who's also our SWA here. She got to see it firsthand. She said, I've always heard about it. She said, it's just amazing to come out here and see it firsthand when they're just doing it like it's nothing, that their own work. I said, well, it's not a slogan for us. It's real. It's a lot of people say protect this house, but I mean, they don't even pick up their own dirty socks in the locker room, and for us, they're building it, they're doing it, they're painting it. It's their place. And so when an opposing team lands and comes up our driveway in a bus, it's their house.
There you go. It's interesting because one of the football games earlier in the season, and I don't, if we win, we win. If we lose, we'll play again. I kind of have that attitude now. Right. But I actually got upset. I think it was Arkansas because there just wasn't effort.
Right.
And it was like, God, it really upset me. I guess I can say it pissed me off. It's like, come on, guys, give the effort. and I think that's what you're talking about. And Shook Judge would be proud. That was his thing. Old school grit, hard work. We're gonna go out there and nobody's gonna outwork us,
Right. Right.
and we're gonna be accountable. So, Coach, now I have to admit, I'm very ignorant when it comes to equestrian. Can you just give me an overview of how it works?
Well, equestrian prior to college can be a little bit different. The format we use in the NCAA was actually something we started here at Auburn. It was something I've always dreamed of doing, was being able to go head to head on the same horse. So the horsepower kind of gets equaled out for the most part. So we've got 4 events. 2 of them are the hunter jumper style, which we call jumping seat. One is over fences, the other's on the flat. And that kind of style would be what you would typically see like in the Olympics, the breeches, tall boots, and English style riding. Then we have 2 Western events, which is horsemanship and reining. Reining now can easily be described, since Taylor Sheridan made Yellowstone. A lot of people have watched the show Yellowstone. They see the reining horses on there, the sliding stops, fast spins, and that's the reining event. And horsemanship is a little bit like that. It's just slowed down, a little more precise. And so that's those are the 4 events. And so you've got a set of girls. You got to beat the girl that draws the same horse you do. That's your goal as an athlete. The opposing girl that draws the same horse you do, you got to beat her.
Okay. Okay. That's so Yellowstone has made it a little more popular, huh?
Oh, it has. I mean, it's the reining. People understand reining. And the fact is, we got talking to one of our most prominent reining trainers in the country, we're chatting about that, and I said, you can use Yellowstone. That's what I talk about. He said, oh, that's what I do too. And he was just on a flight the other day, and somebody was asking what he did, and he's a professional, and he said he trains reining horse, and they're like, what's that? He said, I just immediately say, have you ever watched Yellowstone? It's the easiest way to describe it. But in what we do in these judged events, it is fun. People come out, they cheer and they scream, and they say, it looked good to me, and I screamed when the crowd does. I says, I know. It's just like I tell Coach Graba in gymnastics. I said, man, if they stick a landing, I'm up out of my seat screaming. I have no idea what the rest of it was like. I mean, it looked good to me. They didn't fall off the beam. They didn't, And if they jump off and stick a landing, then I'm all in. So you start small and go from there. But
I'm with you. I understand that. I understand. Barbara, you got a question for Coach?
I'm back, and I apologize. I lost some connectivity there, but I wanted to ask you, Coach Williams, about the teams. How many teams are there that compete within the SEC? Because I understand all those SEC schools don't have equestrian teams.
No, they have club teams, but there's 4 of us. There's 4 of us in the SEC that have varsity. There's some others that have looked, and when they'll add, I don't know right now. I think name, image, and likeness is going to have to shake out before we get into a whole lot of traction in any new sports. So it's been a big deal for us. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is next to football, we're the next largest team at Auburn. And so, I know that you've got a whole segment about Title IX, and the opportunities that it's creating has been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And it's been important to me. I had 2 daughters, other than my dog, I think pretty much my entire life is women. So, I mean, that's, I got my dog. That's my sidekick. Other than that, I got a wife and 2 daughters, and my whole staff all of them are girls, and team of 40. And I always say that head coaching titles, kind of like with horses, people, talk about training horses that don't know. And I said, well, it's not that you try to show them who's boss. You try to keep them from finding out. And I said, that's like my job at work too. I just try to keep them from finding out who's boss. So I love it. It's amazing to watch what sports can do for women. We guys have gotten that benefit for so many years. The teamwork, and it translates. It's not about going pro. I mean, it can be a great deal for our girls to do go pro, but it's about what they learn about life. It's about what helps them later on. And so, I mean, I absolutely love it. It's been phenomenal to watch the benefits that these young women get firsthand.
Awesome.
In 2002, you guys were raised to the level of a varsity program. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Well, we were in the club team program for years, and I worked with David Howes. When I started the team, that wasn't really in our sights. I was just going to operate like a varsity team. Now, we had nothing, but I told this group of 5 girls when we started, I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, because what you're going to do is what we do now is going to make a difference for the girls that haven't yet started school yet. And I want to tell you something interesting about that time. I was making a speech when we'd won a national championship. I was making a speech, and all of a sudden did the math in my head. It was that group of girls were the ones that were in kindergarten when I made that speech to those 5 girls, and they won a national championship. Yeah, that was a surreal moment when I did that. So it's so I worked with David Howes, was our then athletic director, about it being elevated to varsity, and he knew that they were going to add a women's sport, and didn't know much about this one. And equestrian is new on the horizon then in college athletics. So it took a while. It took a lot of campaigning, and I don't think David could eat breakfast or lunch without having to go past me, because I knew where he was all the time. So we worked hard at it, but the girls worked extremely hard. They earned their way. They did that for sure. I will tell you, he had asked so many questions. We'd done so many things together over those years, and he was ready to sign off of it. And then he stopped and he looked at me one more time. He said, I just got to ask you one more question. He said, can they beat Alabama? And I said, David, Alabama can't even clean our horses' feet out. And he said, I don't know what that means. What's good enough for me. And he signed off right then. So with the Iron Bowl coming up, it is always about that. Is can you beat Alabama? And truth is, I tried really hard to help Alabama elevate to a varsity status. Didn't get it done. Hopefully in the future it will at some point. But I actually really tried to help the Alabama program a lot, because it'll mean a lot to more women. That's our goal.
And just curious, how many women are on the team?
40. We stay around 40 or a little over 40. We're going to be probably close to 45 next year.
And my understanding is they're from all over the country.
They are. Really, Alabama is not a very strong horse state, and that's something that I love. You and I know how much I love Auburn. I love the sport of equestrian, and now our school and this sport's known all over the country. So that's really fun. My daughter, who's in Bend, Oregon, just told me last night about her friend that's got a little girl. Her dream is to ride at Auburn. That's fun.
Wow.
That's great. That's
yeah,
good.
we have a girl on our team that's from Canada. She grew up wearing Auburn equestrian in Canada.
Did she?
Wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
great.
That's great, man. Michael?
Yes. Coach, first of all, I want to say congratulations on all of your national championships and your SEC championships and what have you. It's certainly something to take note of and putting us on the national map. I've got 2 questions. The first one, though, is, from my understanding, equestrian is quite an expensive sport. Mm-hmm. And I had heard at one time that all the girls that rode, it was their own personal horses, or they had to bring their own horses. Is that true, or are the horses furnished now?
No. No, they don't bring any of their own horses. We have all of our horses get donated. So that's, I always say we're the rescue program for ex-show horses. And so we're able to give them a second career. They're donated. And at our place, we've got great synergy, is that we get to use the same set of horses for our NCAA team. We have a club team, which is another revenue point for us. And we have the teaching program through animal science. Plus, we're a huge teaching ground for our College of Veterinary Medicine. And so we're actually developing a new sports medicine, sports management program that we want to strengthen through that. Financially, the greatest thing about us, and I know that you are in the financial world, we have an industry behind us. So when you look at the per head cost per athlete, I think probably next to football, where we may be next to football generates all the money. But we have so much support that financially per head, we're probably one of the most inexpensive sports at Auburn. Because of the support we get. Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't realize, but it's we get a lot of support, and you know, we're not getting the salaries those coaches are getting either, so that helps a little bit. They don't have to pay us as much. But we're very blessed to have that industry behind us, that kind of support.
Well, my follow-up question is, you've been credited with orchestrating the Equestrian Center at Auburn, meaning they did not have one until you got there. So that was your brainchild. Did you see that as the first piece of the puzzle in getting Auburn to national prominence, much like, I guess, these now performance football only complexes and all these other things? Were you ahead of your time in that?
Well, not really. We were still operating until just 4 years ago out of the same barn that it was just a tractor shed, really, that we added stalls on, like when I was in college, you know, back during that time. So we're still operating out of that same place and just kept building arenas, working. Got better fencing for our pastures. First, you take care of the horses and run in sheds, did all that. Finally, we had our campaign big enough to where we could get the new barn and our team room. And it is so comfortable. I love it. Mm-hmm. And this may not be the reason why, but it's not the facilities that make it. It's goes back to, we talk about grit, accountability, and teamwork. I had that speech with our girls just the other day. You know, we won 6 national championships before we got that center. Since we've got all the new stuff, we hadn't won one since. So, you know, it's not the facilities. It's not the facilities. Now, I think we would, if we'd have got to play during the COVID year, I really felt confident we would have won that one for sure. But, you know, last year we were a great team. We just blew it in the first round. You know, we win the SECs and we just messed up in the first round of championships. So that can happen, but no, it's not the facilities. Now, I don't want to go back to the old ones, but it's really about the heart. It's about the team. It's about the attitude. And that's what really does it. And that's what that's what we demand. That's what we still demand of recruits. So that, and I do ask every one of them, the ones that were just here this past weekend, I said, if Auburn is not your overwhelming first choice, go somewhere else. The team's too important for us to not have that. And I hate it. It's hard to ask that when somebody's really good, but we mean it. And I think they really believe then if they choose Auburn, we're going to ask every recruit behind them too, you know, so they feel that comfort.
That's
Coach,
great.
when you say play for the national championship, what does that consist? How many teams is that? Is that like a round robin tournament?
8. It is. It's 8, and it's seeded. So, you know, you'll play, if you're the number 1 team, you're going to play the number 8 team, things like that. So we have them in Ocala, Florida. We did that for the first time last year. That was a big dream of mine to have it. The facility there is unbelievable. We weren't quite ready maybe to move down there, but said if we don't take these dates now, we're never going to get them. You know, and once these facilities start locking in dates for major horse shows, you don't get them again. You know, and it's not like we could say, well, we'll do ours in June. I mean, we needed it on that weekend, so we went ahead and booked down there, and I think every one of us agree it's the greatest move we could have made. And facilities are unbelievable. It's in April, and so top 8 teams go down there and play, and then there's a single discipline bracket too, mostly D3 schools, and the top 4 of those go.
Okay, Barbara, you got another question for Coach?
Yes, Coach Williams, you earned your degree in Auburn in 1986 in animal science. So it seems that you've always had a love for horses. And how did you develop that love and desire to work with horses and be around?
From my mom. My mom's the horse enthusiast, and she's always give her credit for that love of it. I after Auburn, well, during Auburn, actually, I was already training. I became a professional. I was young when I came back to Auburn. I didn't want to quit being a pro, but I just had my second child, and Auburn, the animal science department called and said they really want to do something with the horse program, not a team. There was no team then. But it's a teaching and research program. They said, would you come back? And I didn't want to quit being a pro, but I told my wife, I said, this isn't going to come open again in my lifetime, probably. I said, if I could be back in Auburn, work with horses and students and raise our 2 kids in Auburn, that'd be a dream come true. So we just did it, and just through time, just kept building. I worked on a lot of different programs, and the one that just really kind of stuck was the equestrian team that became became my mission. So it's they got the best of both worlds, students and horses.
Yes, that's
And
great.
sometimes I think, I mean, what kind of person would make their living with 18 to 20, 22-year-olds and then add a bunch of horses with it, you know? So, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's
Coach,
great.
when you say you were previously a professional, what does that mean?
Professional trainers is, you know,
Okay.
you're going to be in the business. You're training horses. You'll sometimes be training for non-pros, or you might be having youth, and sometimes you're just really focused on the horses themselves that you're training and showing for owners.
Okay. All right. Michael, you got something else?
Yes, you started me to thinking a little bit, and that's dangerous when I do that. But you mentioned that the horses that you have are usually donated or animal or previous performers.
Right.
So when you get those horses, and I notice a lot of the people that are on the roster, they are like what you call it, the jump
Jumping
specialist.
seat. Right.
Yeah. So do you get a horse that is used to performing that particular act or what have you, and then match them up with the kids that specialize in doing that? Is that how you put together your horses?
Yeah, they are. And it would be probably everybody's familiar with football. So if you took like an offense and defense, that'd be like the Western and the jumping seat. They're doing the same sport. They just got a different way, different goal that they got to do. And there's a different type horse that goes for the Western events and a different type that goes for the jumping seat events for sure. And, you know, they're practicing every day. They rotate through different horses, and they got to be able to make the unfamiliar the norm. Because when we travel to whether it's Georgia or Texas A&M or Fresno State, I mean, it's on a different set of horses, so they got to be used to riding anything. And you know, that's something that's helped me a lot. Is we get a lot of professionals kids. You know, that's I always thought it was advantageous because they've ridden so many different horses, and it is true. They've had a great opportunity to do that. You know what I've learned? I feel like that in today's world, the reason that they have an advantage is they've been told the truth. That's something that we don't get enough of in some of our sports now, as coaches just can no longer tell them the truth. You know, they'll change. And you know, used to, we grow up, I mean, you're on this team, that's it. You didn't get a choice about it. There was no travel team. You couldn't change to another one. That was just your team. And you had to tough it out. Well, in the horse industry, you could always change. Well, now they can do that in travel baseball, travel softball, and soccer. They can always kind of pick where they want to go. And but trainers' kids, they didn't tell whether you're in a bad mood or didn't want to do this or didn't do that. You know, or if they rode terrible, their parents would tell them. You know, and that's something that I've really found is a really unique situation. And it's hard, but I had a trainer tell me that it's hard for them to make a living that way. You know, this is a true story. She told me she had a kid text her going down the driveway, just felt like that, you know, the practice was just, you know, a little bit too tough, and she was just no longer going to ride there. And she thought they'd had a good practice. So she called her friend that's at only other one at that level near that area that she'd probably go to. And she was telling her about it. It's a great family. Here's where she is. And, you know, hopefully it'll work out there. And the other trainer said, "Oh, I thought you were calling me about the kid that quit me today and is going to you." True story.
Wow.
True story.
Wow.
So that's kind of what they're dealing with right now. And I hear some of our, you know, college coaches, they see that a little bit from ones that have travel ball, just kind of have been told what they want to hear too many times.
So are your players, and I don't really know what the right word is.
Riders, players.
Does the NIL affect you guys as well? Are you guys?
It can now. On the biggest problem we had is on the truth is they can make so much money as amateurs, you know, because they get to ride in the classes the pros can't. And the biggest money is made is on sale of horses and leases of horses. So they could make more money that way. And NIL at first was going to ding them as a professional. Now they've gotten those rules changed. Now they can take NIL as long as they're in college. And so that it is going to be beneficial. It's not a make or break it point for us. They already have a pathway to make money. So, but it is helping some just initially be able to build their brand, number one, and also maybe just make the school just affordable to come. You know, if they're not a large scholarship, they make it affordable. But it's not about just padding their wallets. It's just really only used for making things affordable for some.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
And I know the program is where it is now, and they always say Auburn recruits itself. And I'm sure that's the case with you, with all the championships, with people saying, I want to ride for Auburn. But if there's a girl out there that is not on your radar, I guess, how do you go about finding the people that you want to offer the scholarship to bring into Auburn? Do you have scouts out there? What's that process of
Well,
finding that person?
you know who's winning at the major events, and that's what we're really going after. Other than that, camps and clinics, because the horsepower can be important prior to college because they're not on the same horse, and that's where you can, you can lose some good kids. They just never were able just to, work their way onto the right horses, but they've worked for trainers. They have tons of rides under the belt. They're basically mini professionals, and we find those through camps and clinics, and a lot of them come on as walk-ons, leave on large or full rides and all Americans. And so it's that's a neat process to see. But for us, Auburn's a really special place, and getting them on campus, I think, is something you just mentioned. We can get them on campus. That's just the biggest piece for us. And when the NCAA rules changed, where we can't have them on campus till they're juniors, that hurt us a little bit because I don't need them early. I don't want them really early, like Coach Thompson in baseball the other day said they don't have that restriction. So he said, I was talking to 14-year-olds the other day. Wow. And I said, Greg, I don't know how to talk to 14-year-olds. I don't know whether to talk to them about the draft or action figures. I mean, it just so I would love to go back to where we could have some of the young ones coming in, but at least if you could get them as sophomores, they could see Auburn and understand why Auburn's unique. I asked a friend of mine that he coached he'd been hired and fired everywhere. And I said, I'm an Auburn kid. This is all I know. Are the other universities not like this? And he said, Greg, we said the same crap at every university I've ever been to. It's just true here. So I want them to come see the true part. I want them to see the Auburn family and get to know that. And
that's great.
A lot of them don't get to even know that. We're recruiting people that all they know is horses. And so now we use football a lot. It's exciting times. You've got the all the fanfare, but they don't even know that that's something they want. I think, okay, football, don't care about it. Never been to a football game. I said, oh, you don't have to like football to love it at a university. That passion. And, my daughter grew up in Auburn going to football games her whole life. She didn't know what a first down was. So she got her master's degree. And that's not a joke. She could care less what was going on in the field, did not watch the field at all. It was the whole atmosphere. So I got a good recruiting story about it. The very first time I ever told this in public, Tom, you were speaking there with me. We were over in the Tiger Walk Club at the stadium. And this is a true story. She's a senior for us now, and hopefully she'll start grad school, and we'll get the fifth year COVID year with her. But Ava came here from Martha's Vineyard, so she spent all the time. She'd have to take a ferry to get off the island. Her mom's a professional. This kid was like a hired gun since she was little. I mean, all she's done is horses. And I mean, she didn't have to really drive anywhere. She flew somewhere. People pick her up. She'd show that's all she knew. So she comes down on a visit. It was a big recruit for us. And, we really felt like we were the number one school for her. And this is all going to go great. Tour around. We go through all this. We have an incredible visit. Everything goes perfect. School's great. Her mom wants to sign. I was like, forget about my daughter, sign me. And we beat Georgia. We're not supposed to beat Georgia in football game, and we beat them. They rolled Toomer's corner. She doesn't commit. We had toured around, and the fanfare when people are out there, and we're going around campus, and people are saving all the tailgate spots. So it's going to be a big game. Right. And then the next day, all the tents were everywhere. Well, she doesn't commit. I was going to go look at other schools. I said, okay. And then finally she said, well, I'm going to come down one more time. This is like 2 months later. We didn't understand why she didn't commit. So she comes down on like a Wednesday. She gets in my truck. Well, I just can show Auburn again. It's the same place. So we started driving in my truck through campus like we did before. And she's looking out my window and she says, so all those homeless people, they're not here all the time. And I said, homeless people, Ava, they were saving tailgate spots. They were and that's a true story. So anyway, so she committed then, and that was all her biggest issue. She was worried about all the homeless people that are out there on the campus.
That's a great
So,
story.
yeah, well,
That's a great story.
she's an All-American, and she's undefeated for us this year right now. So, and she knows I tell the story.
And,
She says,
and
"Go
you've
for it."
gotten
So,
rid of all those homeless people.
Homeless
yeah,
people,
yeah,
yeah.
you know, they'll show up in droves every now and then, but they'll go right away.
They
On
show up
Sunday.
about 8 times a year, right?
Yeah, they'll
Right.
go away on Sunday. Don't worry about that.
Coach, first of all, thank you so much. Now, I've never been to an equestrian match. Is that's what you call it, a match?
Okay, well, that's
Or
not
meat.
our fault, Tom. So
I know.
so
So
I'm gonna mail you an invitation.
and I
and
want to come.
we'll put you in our scholarship lounge.
Okay,
nice.
I'd
It'll
love
be
to come and just
air-conditioned,
see how it's
heated.
working. Michael and Barbara may want to join.
Come on.
Yes, we'd love to join you.
Come on,
but
we would love it. We'll put you in our
Now
scholarship.
tell me how long. When does your season start and end?
Well, we just finished Friday with the fall portion, and we'll start
Okay.
back in February. So
Okay.
ended Friday, start back in February. So we got a little bit of a break time in there, and we have to do that because remember the horses we compete on. When Oklahoma State was just here Friday, those horses
Mhm.
get used really hard. So we had like
Right.
3 weeks in a row, and they're the same horses we practice on too. So you got to
Okay.
kind of stagger throughout the year. But we're like college golf, where it's one long season, so it all counts. It all counts the
Okay.
exact same.
Right.
But then we go through March as our SEC championships, and April are the national championships.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Well,
That's great.
we'll come when the season starts up again. That'd be
I
great.
look
I'd
forward
love
to
to.
it.
Yes.
I look forward
I'd
to it.
love to. That'd be great.
Yes,
Do you have
it will.
homeless people during the season?
Well, we did play on Friday, and I know there's a lot of them walking around on campus. I tried to explain to her those are all college students trying to earn tuition money from their parents, so they're all out there in lounge chairs and blankets, holding spots for
Holding
their parents to
spots.
come into town.
And
Yeah.
for some reason they're homeless, but they fill up all the hotels.
Yeah.
Anyway, Coach, thank you so much, man. It's been great talking to you. Always good
Good to
to
have
see
you
you.
guys.
And we'll do it again. And hopefully let us know. We'd love to come.
All right,
Love to come.
I'll
Absolutely.
shoot you our schedule, and thank you guys for what you do, and particularly Barbara, thank you for discussing Title IX. It
Thank
works.
you.
It
Yes.
works.
Well,
It's
Barbara,
very
what's that
important.
date for Title IX show
The,
again?
December
the date for
6th.
December 6th.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Sounds
mean to
good.
take it. I got that one down. So I'm gonna,
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna
I want
be
you to be
able to
watching, Coach. You got to watch us that day.
I think that's when the start of our meetings. I might have to,
Okay.
but listen, I'll act like I'm listening to them to the meeting. So, but I'll be listening to you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, and when is the Heat of the Night show, Barbara? What date is that?
That
You know,
one, I
I
don't
got
know
it
off the
right.
top of
Oh,
my head.
December 13th. So
Okay.
Antley and your crew, we're doing another Heat of the Night show on December 13th. Get everybody together and we'll have fun and we'll talk about your favorite show
All right.
in the heat of the night.
There we go.
Coach, thank you so much, man. It was great.
Thank
Absolutely
you guys.
wonderful.
Thank you
Enjoy
guys.
it.
I look forward to seeing you
Enjoyed
in
it,
Auburn.
Coach.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Thank
sounds
you.
good. Well, my closing commentary, and that was great, and I am looking forward to going to an event, learning something that I don't know. It'd be great. Anyway, my closing commentary for the day, or as I see it, on this date in 1963, I was in the 6th grade at Our Lady of Fatima Elementary School when a nun, our principal, came on the intercom to tell everyone that the President of the United States had been shot and asked all to say a prayer for him. Minutes later, she came back on to say the President of the United States was dead. It's been 59 years on this day, November 22nd, since President John Kennedy was shot and killed in Dallas, Texas. It changed the trajectory of our country. Innocents in the 6th grade, we all cried. Our parents came and took us out of school. It's a day I hold sacred, a day I'll never forget, and let's hope that it never happens again. And that is how I see it on this November 22nd in the year 2022. That's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you all very much. Thank Michael and Barbara. Thank our G-List guest, Coach Greg Williams. and those homeless people that he's gotten off the streets. We want to thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thank Emily Hedrick, the communicator, Sean Jones, the organizer and producer of the show, and also the producer of Got a Minute. Remember, enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Peace.